Hi, John Monson here with Rural Ruckus Radio Podcast. Again, today we are going to be talking to another rural leader and somebody that I know pretty darn well. In fact, probably my favorite guest so far. Really happy to have my son, Tom Monson, here with me today. And Tom works with MBT Bank. He's the marketplace president, and he's also at the Chamber of Commerce. And there's other stuff that you do, Tom. But the reason that I wanted to bring Tom in today was because he's a really unique leader. Somebody who really believes in some really innovative, fun things that he can do for rural communities. But he has rural America in his heart. And so he lives in Kasson, Minnesota, and works in the Kasson-Manorville area. That's just west of Rochester, about 10 miles, and does a lot of really unique and interesting things. So, Tom, welcome here. How you doing?
Good.
You want to do this?
Yeah.
All right, good. And Tom, let's talk a little bit about some of the fun things that you do in your community. But tell us more about some of the roles that you play in your community.
Sure. So, first, I'm a market president in Manorville for MBT Bank. So I'm a banker. I also am the president of the Kasson Chamber of Commerce. I am the president of the Dodge County Community Foundation. I am on the board of the Manorville Chamber of Commerce. I am and also the vice president of the Kasson Economic Development Authority. And then I sit on the I also sit on the Rochester Area Economic Development Communities Council.
Well, interesting, because you're not in your 60s yet to have all of those titles. You're actually in your 30s. And one of the really unique things about having you here is you're young, relatively speaking, in rural communities in a leadership role. So you bring a lot of innovation, but you also bring enough usefulness, I think, to leadership that it showcases the importance of bringing young talent and showcasing young talent in a rural community. So you have been there how long, Tom?
Yeah, well, we, as you know, lived in Kasson when I was a little guy, right? So we, when I was a baby, right, in the old farm outside Dodge Center, and then, we moved to Kasson across from the high school, and then when I was in second grade, we moved up to Cannon Falls, which I graduated. I came back after college in 2015. I bought a house, and I've been there since. And I lived there with my wife and son and our dog.
Yeah, you do. And you have been out in the community. But one of the fun facts that I think is worth sharing is the Tom T-Rex. Tom T-Rex is what?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we officially branded it as the Tom T-Rex, but I go around as an inflatable T-Rex at a lot of our Kasson Chamber of events. That is oftentimes my my role in a lot of our large events. So we have a few events. We try to space them out roughly quarterly throughout the year. So we're doing some, kind of space some of the event planning and things. And I'm not somebody that thrives with event planning. That's not my strength. And so I consistently like to contribute by being an inflatable T-Rex. And people, and so essentially I go around in the T-Rex suit. Kids like to take pictures. If they're brave enough to get close to me. I've also used it as a phantom shopper costume, meaning I carry around a bag of cash, and as people are buying things locally at checkout, I put down $20 cash on whatever they're buying. And they usually people like that. And it's become popular. It's become a little bit of a theme in our community. It is fun. I have also pulled it out for the Dodge County Expo and have been the wandering T-Rex that challenges people to juggling contests. And so I'll juggle occasionally in the inflatable T-Rex suit and see if people can out-juggle me. So I've told people sometimes leadership looks like a T-Rex suit. And the reason and some people have asked, why T-Rex? Why not something different? And the answer is there isn't really much of an answer. We just picked it because you could buy them online, and I think they're easy. You can see them from far away. So a lot of times you're talking about Main Street events, and you're trying to help people know things are going on all at different places around town. And so if you see somebody walking around in an inflatable T-Rex suit, you think that person knows something I don't. And people are usually drawn. They're drawn to me.
Wouldn't be T-Rex. Wouldn't be. Are you encouraging others to consider sort of that prehistoric, animal approach if they're a younger leader in their rural community?
I've encouraged people to consider their own dinosaur costumes.
Right.
And nobody's taken me up on the offer yet.
Surprising.
And I don't know why. It might be because I tell them how, if you're in it, if you've never been in it, if you're interested in the science of a T-Rex suit, it's a great experiment in the greenhouse effect.
Right.
So it really gets hot in there, and then you just sweat profusely. So it's like a sauna suit. And some people, I think, don't want that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Tom, it is fun to see you walking around downtown with your 4-year-old son at your side.
Yeah.
In the T-Rex outfit, towering at about 7 feet tall, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is kind of fun to watch that in town. But anyways, the interesting part about that from a rural economic development side is that it actually encourages a little bit of fun in your community, and it does showcase the rural businesses.
It does. And then we utilize it, again, to circulate people into new storefronts that they maybe haven't been to. We've used it for Phantom Shopper, which we've now actually expanded into a little bit of a broader Phantom Shopper program to help incentivize local shopping in our small locally owned businesses. And bringing it back to, how this interacts with some of my other roles. I'm a strong believer that community banks, that really pass muster shouldn't just be present in their community, but rather, and just taking a share of the pie, but rather they should actually be growing the market itself. They should be reinvesting in ways that fit their community, that grow the pie overall, that help, a rising tide, right, raises all ships, right? So that's really, I think, the key difference of a community bank versus a bank that's in your community. Right. And so that sort of involvement, whether, and it may be a Triceratops and other towns that might resonate better or whatever it is, but ultimately it's identifying what fits your community and taking action in that way that grows your market, grows the pie, and, benefits your businesses, your residents, makes it a better place to live, work, and play for your community. And it can look like all sorts of different things, but that's one way I've done it. And it helps make people aware of local businesses so they know where to shop and how to support their community.
Right. One prehistoric animal, I think, doesn't necessarily fit in another community, right? I think that's what we're really saying.
Yeah, some towns may be more brachiosaurus.
Right. It's going to be variable, I think, per community. I think you're highlighting the importance of really knowing your community.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, tell us a little bit more about, so you started a Dodge County Foundation as well. Why?
Yeah, Dodge County Community Foundation. So a few years ago, Dodge County was going through a comprehensive plan effort. And as they were going through that process, the county staff felt that some of the needs that were being brought back to them did not fit necessarily a governmental solution. And so they said, we would like to see a foundation in our county, and countywide foundation that would address some of these needs. So they approached me and a friend, Jim Checkle, to work on starting one. And Jim and I are both the kind of guys who'll say, sure, let's try it. And so we did. We incorporated it. We formed a board. We've got tax exempt status. We've built that that endowment up to about, I think we're up around $58,000. The purpose behind it, why do we do what we do? We have 4 pillars. And right now, the first among equals is our emergency response services. So supporting our rural ambulatory services. If you're not familiar, rural ambulance right now has really just it's a losing game. It's not the fault of the rural ambulatory services. It's at a congressional level, how they define certain reimbursement rates, basically gets them about 30% of cost on Medicare calls, which are the vast majority in rural communities. And so what happens is they're just they hemorrhage capital. There's no recourse to really find other avenues other than just, ask taxpayers to just pump cash in, which is, again, difficult in rural communities when you have, you have so many significant and important needs that are all competing for limited funds. Mm-hmm. So so one of the biggest ways that they're able to help mitigate that cost is to get qualified volunteers that volunteer as EMTs, EMRs, and and serve, so that, as opposed to paid paramedics, right? That's a huge capital saver to them. The problem is the Venn diagram of people that have the time, interest, and money to fill that role as a volunteer. So you're talking about paying money. You're probably paying $1,300 to go through EMT training, sit through the tests, and then after that, expect no return. Right? You're volunteering. I believe Dodge Center Ambulance, who covers my area where I live, I believe if you're actively riding an ambulance, I believe they may be paying up to $2 or $3 an hour now. You may get that. So you're volunteering, right? You're not doing it for the money. And then the people that have the time and interest in doing that overlap with the people that have the funds to make that work is so limited, right? And so what's happening is they're not getting enough people to fill that talent pool to provide those services. So they are, so either they're not able to staff their hours and just have to cut services, or they have to pay, and then they hemorrhage capital further. So our foundation is right now really focused on our EMR and EMT scholarship program in partnership with Dodge Center Ambulance, who is a training center, also works with Hayfield and West Concord Ambulatory Services in Dodge County. We have supported the cost of registration for some high school students that are taking EMT training as well. And then we would really like to continuously expand that as our endowment grows into not only more scholarships, but also helping make those types of classes available in our county or in our school districts within the county, so that we're continuously building that qualified talent pool for volunteers, and helping at least take away one of the barriers that really limits who we're able to pull from in order to have a successful ambulatory service.
So one of the foundational elements for the foundation is to make sure that those who are hurting in terms of their funding, that you're able to provide more additional support funding. And I assume, being a foundation, that you're looking to also help attract other forms of capital for the same purpose. You're not going to be able to solve the problem yourself.
Correct.
So that's the whole goal. But EMS services are underfunded. Those who needed them know that they've had huge wait times. Getting from one facility to another. And it's pervasive in rural communities. It's a huge issue, and it's a good one that you guys are taking on, but it's a good example of why the foundation was important and why you guys helped step. By the way, you're doing it with Jim Sheckle, the most interesting man I know in Dodge County. The most interesting man in Dodge County.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. Yeah. And maybe someday he'll get on here, but
he'd be a good one to have as a guest.
Yeah. So it's it's been a real pleasure. We have a great board. I would check out the website, dodgecountycommunityfoundation.org, and learn more about it.
Right. Tom, one last question here. So what's been the most interesting thing that you found as a rural leader so far in your community? Anything you can think of that just really stands out, an opportunity to share a lesson learned, a fun story?
Well, I would say probably the most important lesson to me is that you essentially don't ever need to have. There's no reason to have adversaries, right? That everybody is a potential collaborator, and it's usually a matter of understanding their priorities, understanding your own priorities, and how they mesh together. Most people, by and large, are trying to do the right thing for their community, for them, for their family, for the people, that they know in their circle. And usually that's not always at direct odds. It can appear that way, but that reframing and taking time to understand and learn from each other, you can, I think, find ways to work together and collaborate in nearly all circumstances.
Yeah. Rural development's team sport. We've talked about it on this show before. But Tom, I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank you for sharing stories about your community, some of the issues that are that you're facing in your rural community. It's fun to have you here. It's also fun to have Tom's son on my screensaver. here, giving the teenager look at age 4. To show everybody what it looks like. But anyways, thank you so much for listening in. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll be back next time on Rural Ruckus Radio and Podcast.